Coming up on the pod today, hi, we're back. And I'm talking about a lot of different things, a lot of different shows, and the journey I went on for pretty much all of the month of November. Talking about Omaha, Kansas City, some crazy kind of burnout travel stuff in there. And also Kansas City may have been my favorite show I've done on the tour. And then I talk about the trip I did in Connecticut and Hartford and in Boston, which Boston, as I'm sure you saw through social media, was a huge weekend for me. Sold out one of the shows and almost sold out the other two. So huge thing there. Huge thing. So disregarding what my biggest achievement in my career. Huge thing there. Anyway, so a lot of fun stories here as I'm excited to kind of combine all of this into one podcast as opposed to dropping multiple. So, anyways, again, want to do tour dates. And I said again, and I didn't mean to say again because I'm giving you the first tour dates right now. So I'm going to be tomorrow, I'm going to be in Indianapolis at Helium Comedy Club. Come out to that show. And then I drive arguably too far to St. Louis, which I'm very excited about because I have a lot of family in St. Louis. So excited for that show. That's on Thursday. And that's respectively, that's December, I think, 7th and 8th, 8th and 9th. Come on, Will, get your shit together. 6th and 7th. Stupid. Anyways, come out to those shows. Would love to see you guys. And then I'm wrapping up the tour in Florida, as I'm sure you've seen, in December. Naples, Florida, December 19th and the 20th. And then Fort Lauderdale, the last show of the tour. Crazy. The Dania Improv, if you live in the Miami, Fort Lauderdale area, come out. Big show for me. It's on a Thursday, December 22nd. Escape your families before the holidays. Come out and see your boy. On the last show of the tour. Am I going to cry? Maybe. I will now that I said that. I'm also not retiring. It's just the last date of the year. You know what I mean? So anyways, I've yapped for too much. Let's get into the episode, dude. We're back. All righty. Hello. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Will Burkart, and it's my podcast. If you missed my little State of the Union episode where I talked about some changes that are being made to the show, as you can see, I'm not in the studio right now. That's a very conscious choice. I am only using the studio for the Would You Rather podcast, which, by the way, I've dropped 2 of them, so go watch them. Actually, no, the day you're watching this, I think the next one will come out tomorrow, so it will have dropped, pre-drop. This is the pre-drop notice about those. And I'm going to be doing the podcast out of my place for the time being, and I'm going to keep it to being, about, I'd say monthly, if not every 3-4 weeks. I just spit all over this way. And I don't know if the camera caught that, of all the spit. And it's like, do I call it out or do I not? You know what I mean? I've had that happen on stage where I will be, I go hard on these shows. I'm not phoning it in. I'm spitting. Saliva's flying. If you're in the front row, you may get spit on, not even in like a disrespectful way, but in a way of where I'm giving all of my effort and energy, and some of that may result in some splashes of my DNA. And that sounds sus, but I meant from my mouth, okay? So fucking get your mind out of the gutter, okay? I work hard, Sometimes you gotta spit a little bit. But I do always wonder if people notice that shit. Because I can see it when the light catches in a certain way. You can see it come out, and I wonder if people notice. I've never had anyone go, ugh, but I wonder if they notice. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, so I'm doing the podcast out of here for a while. Hopefully you guys like it. Again, you always I keep it real. I'm keeping it real on this thing. So YouTube's been a hard thing for me to crack and figure out. I think the key is that to just like stick with this stuff, the podcast stuff. It's so easy to get discouraged though doing it. Oh my God, man. Because to give you some context, it's like I put out a stand-up clip on let's say Instagram, and it gets whatever fucking 50 to 100,000 views. And then I put up a podcast and it gets like 100 views. And it's just this weird mind game of just acceptance. And these are two different entities, and that's okay. But it's people don't think about how discouraging some of this stuff can be. And that's why a lot of people do a podcast for a month and then they stop because it's sad. But I'm not going to stop. I just needed to make some changes so I can optimize the whole thing. You know what I mean? Anyways, it's going to be a work in progress. I'm excited about the Would You Rather stuff. I'm going to be having some guests on for that, which I think guests will be excited to come do that because it's not just an interview show, and it's going to be a little something different. So I'm excited about it, I think. I feel good about it. I feel good as of now. It's fine, man. Everything's totally fine, okay? So, um, lots to talk about, man. Lots to talk about on these trips. It's interesting because I'll do a trip and then do the podcast the next week, so I'll be fresh, and I'll have all the things fresh in my mind. But I'm going to talk about the Omaha and Kansas City. That was a trip I took about a month ago, and had to take some notes, so I reminded myself what the hell happened because I didn't remember, but now I do. So I'll take you back to the Mexico City story and the podcast that we did. So here was my travel schedule over the last, I think it was end of October into November. It was crazy. I had the Orlando show, which I wonder if did I ever talk about that? I must have. I'm sure I did. Either way, very fun show. But I went all the way to the East Coast for one show, and then that was on a Sunday, which is rare for me. I've only had one other Sunday show this tour, and it was in San Jose, which was so fun, by the way. Oh my god. And so I did. I really kind of fucked myself, but I don't regret it because it just made sense for the time. I came back on a Monday, and I had one day, and then I left to go to Omaha on Tuesday. So I had one day. And that happened also with Mexico, where I came back from another trip. I don't remember which one. I'm getting my dates confused. But the point is that I had back-to-back weeks where I had one day, and then I went back out. I think it was actually Orlando. It was like Orlando to Mexico. Yes, that's what it was. I came back for one day, and then I went to Mexico. And then it was the same thing where it was like, came back from Kansas City one day and then left again. I think I'm all over the place, but the point is that for like 3 weeks in a row, I had one day in town, and it was crazy. Because what's nice about being on the road is basically you don't have any responsibilities. If you think about it, I need to feed myself, I need to drink water, and I need to do the show. The first two things aren't even a requirement. I cannot eat the whole day. I cannot drink water the whole day, but I may pass away before the show. So to me, those are requirements. But the show is the only requirement, which is trippy, because because the only reason the show is a requirement is because people are reliant on me showing up, right? The club, the people who bought tickets, and my agent. Not even me. I'm not even responsible at all, right? So it's weird to have the only responsibility of my day is to show up to a place and do a thing, talking to a microphone about pee-pee, poo-poo for the people. What a silly life this is. The point of why I bring that up is because it's nice because I like being on the road because I don't have any responsibilities. I don't have to do chores. I don't have to do errands. So when I'm home, between laundry, groceries, all those things, I have to be a person. Right? And when I'm here for one day, it's fucking chaos. I have to do everything in my life between, making sure my place is okay, making sure I have enough clean clothes, making sure I have food I can eat. It's crazy. And then you add my relationship. I need to be there for Kaylee, see her. And that's top priority for me. Right? And there's just a lot that I have to do in that one day. And what happened is that my one day back, I had to go pick up the merch, for example. Here's how the merch works. Just, I assume you guys are interested in all the inside stories because that's why you're here. I'm doing t-shirts you can buy after the shows. And so the process of what that is I take them I drop the t-shirts off to a place and get them embroidered. They're good quality. And then I have to go back to the place a week later to pick up the shirts. And the place is pretty far. It's, from me, I'd say, with traffic, it takes about 45 minutes to get there, let's say. So that's 45 minutes there, 45 back, right? I have to do that 2 times. And so in one of the days, I had to go pick up the merch. So that's a good chunk of my day is just doing that. So it was, stress. There's a lot going on. And for the first time, which I can't believe it took this long on this tour, but I finally got sick. I don't know what took so long. From January until that was early November, I didn't get sick. In all the travel I did, I never got sick. I'm not sure what that is. I don't even know what the secrets are to that. I always get pretty good sleep on the road, and I prioritize sleep, but, I eat healthy when I'm home. You can't eat healthy on the road. Chicken tendies? Come on, bro. That's all I'm eating. But I finally got sick, and I don't know how you guys work, but I know my body very well, where I know that a certain feeling that's happening in my throat or whatever, pause, a certain feeling that's happening in my body, I am like, oh, this is me getting sick, right? And so I felt the sore throat coming, and I was like, damn, dude. It was in that one day where I did all the merch pickup, all that bullshit, the day before I was leaving for Omaha, and I was like, God damn it, why do I have to get sick now? This is like such shitty timing. It was when I got back from Mexico. That's what it was. Maybe I got sick out there. Who knows? But I was like, damn it, dude. I haven't been sick yet. I haven't had to deal with being sick on the road yet for my shows. Like, what's that going to be like? So what I did, and I can't believe it, is I drink this tea, this lemon and ginger tea. I have it right here. It's Stash Organics. It's a ginger and lemon tea, okay? This shit saved my life, okay? This isn't even a sponsor, but dude, I'll do ads. Give me tea. I don't even need money. Just give me a bunch of these teas. I'll do ads, okay? That tea saved me. Here's why. Or actually, no, let me take you back. I remember I was on the road opening for Brent Morin in Milwaukee, and I had the same thing happen where I was getting a sore throat, and I was staying in a Hilton hotel that had that tea in the lobby and honey as well. Shout out if you have tea and honey in a hotel lobby. That's crazy. And what I did is I felt myself getting sick, and I just guzzled that tea along with water for like 2 days, and I just never got sick. The sore throat just casually, it just gradually went away, and I never got stuffy. So I was like, wow, that tea literally just saved me. And so that's what I did this trip. My one day off, right? The one day with the merch pickup, all the bullshit, I was just guzzling that tea. My travel day comes that Tuesday. Still feel okay. Still drinking the tea. You know, I get to Omaha. I bought like a box of them after that saved me in Milwaukee. And so I travel with a lot of the teas just in case, but I took a gang of them in my suitcase, and I was just guzzling teas. And dude, I kept waiting, but I never got full-blown sick. Crazy. I kept waiting, dude, through the whole trip, Omaha, Kansas City, traveling back home, totally fine. I don't know how I did it, but trust me, get that. I threw it, or else I'd show you again. But rewind it, and you can see it. Stash ginger and lemon tea, and add a bunch of honey to it, dude. I'm telling you, saved me. So I was like, thank God I'm not sick for these shows, because I don't know how that would be, being sick for having to do an hour on stage. It's like and to do the meet and greets too. I feel like I got to be like, oh, don't touch. I'm sick, but whatever. Landed Omaha. Not too far either. It's like the middle of the country, so it wasn't too bad. Landed and had to take a pee-pee, and immediately went into the women's bathroom. So that was fun. Just went right in. I don't know. I think I had to pee so bad, I barely even looked at whether the little character was wearing a dress or no dress. Because that's what that is, right? It's either a guy who's naked or another stick figure with like a little dress thing on. I like how that's the men and women signs. Man's just naked, and then the women has a nice Easter dress on. You know, one of those like fucking conservative flowy dresses on. What am I talking about, dude? Blasted into the women's room. No one in there. And when I walked in, I was like, I was like, where are the urinals at? And instead of thinking to myself, this is so who I am, thinking to myself, oh, I messed up. Is this the women's room? I thought, oh, Omaha doesn't have urinals? The fuck's up with this place? Stupid. It's the women's room. Idiot. I think I didn't pee in it yet. No, I think it was pre-pee. I think I took my pee-pee out, and I was like, this feels weird. This does not. I think probably because it was so clean. So I was like, this is the cleanest bathroom I've ever seen. Something doesn't feel right, and there's no urinals. Okay, I think I messed up. And it's funny to see. I think I was like early or close to the front of the plane. So when I walked off the plane, I had already made the discovery, so they just the people behind me who walked out from the gate towards the bathroom just saw me leaving the women's room, like, sorry, wrong, oops, sorry. It's just a stupid moment. Had some hotel drama, which I don't really feel like getting into. It's not important, but the point is that I use I think I've said this before, where I use my buddy's Hilton account, which gives me like some sick discounts on hotels. And bottom line is, we had some Karen at the Omaha hotel that was being super strict with the policies. And basically what happened is there was this whole thing about, I didn't know whether I had a hotel or not. That's the moral of the story. And it was just really stressful because you do a whole day of traveling. You go pee in a women's room. I'm exhausted. I'm getting sick. And then on top of that, I'm like, do I even have a hotel to stay at? It's not fun. We ended up getting in, and the woman at the front desk was not the Karen. This is some other, the night shift. Shout out to the night shift workers, by the way, at hotels. They're always dope. You'd think that the night shift workers are a little shifty, a little bit like, hey, why are you working at night? Like, why you don't got to be why aren't you sleeping right now? Like, what's up with you, right? But they're always mad chill, cool. I've gotten free snacks before, struck up conversations. What's the right grammar on that? She was so cool and got us into our rooms, and it was all good. Me and my opener, who I brought, Anthony. Easy. So Omaha, that's what we like to call in the biz a small market. Bigger market would be Chicago, Dallas, LA, Seattle, big markets, right? But Omaha, it's a small market. Omaha, Louisville, what are some other ones? Like maybe Providence, Rhode Island. That's another random one. Small markets, right? So I didn't have much expectations. Omaha was not a city that I requested. Kansas City was a city that I wanted my agent to get me. And then she did the one-nighter thing where she pairs it with a nearby city. And that happened to be Omaha. And I've done Omaha before. Funny enough, in May, I opened for Michael Blaustein there and loved the club. Thought it was really fun. It's a Funny Bone. Those are great, really beautifully built clubs because they're old school. They're about 300 seats, 350 at most. And it's low ceilings. We're packed in. I love the design of these Funny Bone clubs. But again, because it's a small market, I didn't have much expectations. I knew where my email list numbers were at for Omaha, so didn't expect much. But man, the show ended up being really fun. It was a Wednesday, smaller crowd. But dude, it was really fun. I can always tell generally how the show's going to go by how my openers do. Whether it's my buddy Anthony or Nolan, when I see them on stage, I'll watch like a few jokes and I can judge like, oh, that joke got that response. This is how the show's kind of gonna go. If they're both killing, I'm like, okay, fuck yeah, like let's go. This is gonna be great because they have such a hard spot, dude. And I've been doing these 2-man shows where there's no host. It's just them doing both of the opener spots. So it's like 25 minutes, and so they go up pretty cold. So there's a few times where the first few minutes are a little shaky, but that's just how comedy works. It's called the cold open spot, the first 5 minutes of a show. It's a really hard spot because people are just kind of getting warmed up, and you have to kind of teach them how to do comedy, if that makes sense. But Anthony was doing great, dude. He had a great set. So I was like, oh, okay, I think Omaha could be fun. And also, I thought an interesting thing I noticed is that it was a lot. I felt like it was like 60%, 70% women. Like middle-aged women almost. Maybe not middle-aged, maybe like their 30s. And dude, the laughter, you like felt like women are louder laughers than men. They let it out more. Dudes are like, or like, yeah, funny, cool. Like trying to be cool about it, but women will fucking let you know if something's funny. So the room just sounded fun. Even though it wasn't full, it sounded full and fun. And I really had a great time there. Really fun time in Omaha. It was funny, man. I think I had this was when I did Orlando and then Mexico and then Omaha. So I hadn't been on stage much, and there was a part of me that was in the green room. And I have this sometimes, and it's kind of a scary existential thought. But if I haven't been on stage in a while, especially haven't done an hour in a while, I will sit there and be like, do I know how to do this? Do I know how to do stand-up comedy? Do I know how to do crowd work? Do I know my jokes? There's like a little part of me that's a little panicked, where I'm like, do I got this? And then you get on stage, and it's like muscle memory. I guess it's like riding a bike, but I can't use that analogy because your boy can barely ride a bike. Fun fact. I haven't talked about that yet. That I've never really learned how to ride a bike. I know a little bit. Like I can be on a bike. If I'm being chased, I can get on a bike and go, but it's not pretty. It's a lot of this, a lot of shaking, a lot of falling, a lot of getting back up. Unless I'm on a hill. If I'm on a hill, I got it. But if I'm straight, I'm a little kind of like a baby deer type of thing, like a scared. It's not great. So I can't say it's like riding a bike because I have no idea what that's like. So anyways, this show is really fun. And I remember this story about when I was there at the club the first time, where, at this point in my career, I when it comes to like club managers and things like that, I always want to be super respectful and like the coolest possible, so they will have me back and I can create like a good narrative for myself. Granted, I'm a good dude anyway, so it's not like I have to put on this effort like, all right, repress all your demons and be cool. It's like, no, it's cool anyways, but I just have to I try to be extra cool to club owners, because this connection is very important to me. And I remember when I opened for Michael in Omaha, and this was when my show was already on the books. For the club owner, she's super nice. She said, "Oh, when you come here next time in November, you should do press. You should do this radio show." And what I should have said was, "Sounds good." What I did say was, "Oh yeah, like how early is it? How early is it?" I'm thinking 6 months in advance, me getting up early to do a thing I don't want to do. How crazy is that? And she was cool about it. She was like, I don't, and I'm sure I backed it up like, just let me know, blah, blah. I was so annoyed at myself after. I was like, why would I say that, dude? Stupid. Just say yes. Who cares? I was already thinking, I don't want to wake up at 6 a.m. to do a radio show and sell one ticket because of it. Like, so stupid. But the show went great. Left Omaha, drove to Kansas City, and I forgot how long the drive was. I think it was like 3 hours, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, or something like that. I don't know. It was far. It was too far. How about that? Ended up getting, forgive my language, but ended up getting fucked on the Omaha hotel. That Karen like basically took away the discount fee, and I had to pay like double what I was supposed to pay. So, stress number one. Ticket sales in Kansas City were not what I thought. Not the way that I didn't think they would be, but I was spending. I'm doing these. I've talked about Facebook ads on the show where I try to do ads on Facebook and it helps increase awareness, but it's always a gamble of how much do you spend on ads. Will the outcome be worth what you're putting in? Or is like the ROI going to be worth it for how much I'm spending on ads, right? I've talked about that before. In Kansas City, I spent like a bunch of money just to see what would happen, right? And the ticket sales were like the same they would have been. So I spent all this money on ads. At the time, seemingly, it was like for no reason. I had basically thrown a lot of money away and maybe sold 5 tickets because of it, right? And it was not worth it. And so I had the hotel stress, and then I had this ad stress where I'm like very much money related. And it's just, it's tough, man. It's the road stuff is just it's tough at my level because you just have a lot more stresses. I'm stressed about selling tickets. Some of the travel can be a little stressful. When you're doing weekends, it's like you get to settle into a place. You're there for 3-4 days. You get to kind of learn the space. You know your spots. You get to relax. But this run and gun shit, man, driving between cities and checking in different hotels and kind of being worried about ticket sales, like, bro, this is like a for real hustle where I'm at, and I'm very grateful for it because this is some shit where I will look back on and be like, damn, remember those days? Remember selling half the room out in these random cities and driving around, stressing about shit? I'm very grateful for all the stuff, man. I'm trying to be really grounded and kind of love the journey because again, I think I will look back on this. No, I will look back on this and be like, wow, remember that shit? So just stress, man. And I'm still like fighting this sickness. I'm coming off just so much travel. I'm in pretty rough shape in Kansas City. In Kansas City, I'm in pretty rough shape. To add to it, we get to the hotel, and I'm already stressed about it because I got kind of like flagged at the last hotel, and this one, I use a digital key on my phone to get into the room, and we get there, and it's like not coming up. We just drove like 3 hours. The key's not coming up. I'm worried that, me talking to the front desk, they're going to flag my thing and kick me out or whatever, right? And we can't get in, and I'm like waiting for the key. The show's in like 2.5 hours, and I'm like waiting. So stressed, still stressed about everything I just talked about. And after like an hour of waiting there, I realized that I fucking took us to the wrong hotel. We're like across the street at a different hotel. I was so, I don't even know the emotions I was experiencing. I think it was a mix. It would have been funny if I wasn't so fucking stressed. I was so mad at myself, but it was really funny but I also was like just so demoralized and sad. I didn't even have a reaction. I just was like, hey, Anthony, it's the wrong hotel. Let's go. And I just walked out. I didn't even have the mental capacity to process what was happening. So anyways, so now we go do the show, and I'm pretty haggard. I'm pretty just like, I haven't shaved in a long time. I haven't had, and another thing, I haven't had time to get a haircut either. With all this travel, when am I going to get a haircut? So my hair is all disheveled. I have this like scraggly beard. I'm exhausted. I'm fighting this illness. I'm like, I'm sitting in the green room as the show is filling in, and it sounds kind of packed out there, and I'm like, whoa, this is cool. And they actually have a peephole on the door to the green room that you can look out into the show, which is so cool, by the way. Just spying on everybody. It was kind of fire. I love that. And dude, the show's like packing out, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Turned out they released a few like free tickets, and so the room was like kind of full, and I was fired up. I didn't know that some of them were free tickets, which I'm fine with. I didn't know that, so I thought I sold like a bunch of tickets, so I was even more excited. So the vibe very much switched for the show, which was really good. And Anthony went up. He did great. I was like, the show seems pretty good. And I went up, and I had easily one of my favorite headlining sets I've ever had so far at the Kansas City Improv. Shout out. It was so much fun. I got so many clips from that show. There were the ones from the with the butt doctor thing with the finger up the butt and the shot glass, and then the army gardener guy. Those are from Kansas City, and just the vibe of it was just so fun, and the crowd work was really fun and super electric. The jokes went well. The last like 10 to 12 minutes of my act was just like kind of as flawless as you can get. It was just, everything was beautiful and just felt right, and I love the feel of the club. It was just one of those shows where I was like, man, that was fun. That was just, I felt so comfortable up there. I was so... You can see in the clips, though, I'm looking kind of haggard with the hair and the beard. Just go back and look. You'll be like, your boy is spent. I was so proud of myself that in the midst of all that stress and all that travel and everything that I just, went through, I still went out and had one of the best shows of my life. And that's what this whole thing's about, man. It's looking back on it, it's like, man, if I can go up and do that well in the midst of all that stress, like I'm very confident in myself, and I'm very proud of myself that I was able to do that, because it was not easy. Your boy was going through it. Man, it was so fun. I'm going to take a quick break to go to the bathroom. You guys aren't going to know, but I'll be back in a sec. All right. So after that trip, I had about a week in town, or like 4 or 5 days or something like that. I think it was legitimately 5 days I had in town, and boy, did I need it. I soaked up every minute of those 5 days, man. It was beautiful. So nice. The trip I went on next was I was doing Boston Friday, Saturday, and then Hartford, Connecticut on Thursday. So it's all lined up, and I'm doing 4 shows total, 3 in Boston, 1 in Connecticut. Flew to Hartford on Wednesday. Dude, LA to Connecticut, it's so far. Connecticut feels like the furthest place you could possibly go. It felt like I went to the tip of like Maine, bro. Like, it was so far to get there. I couldn't believe it. It was such an annoying travel day, where it was one of those things where I got to like Dallas, and then the fucking jet bridge wasn't ready, so we're just sitting there. Connection was super tight. I had to pee so bad. I'm ready to blast into the women's room if I have to. So stressed. I think it was the only trip where I had to run to make my connection. Last to board the flight. It was one of those things where I had the window, and the 2 dudes in the middle of an aisle were like, man, is that it? Is that it? Is there no one else? And then my dumbass rolled up. Hey, sorry I'm late. And they're like, God damn it. And I was like, sorry, I know, sorry. There's going to be a middle. I'm sorry, man. Cozied up in the window for another fucking long-ass flight. Anyways, it was just a long-ass travel day. I was so happy to have made it. The hotel in Hartford, man, shout out to this, man. They had a basketball hoop. Insane. Think about me, man. I love shooting hoops. That's been my thing since I was a little kid. I had a basketball hoop in my mom's driveway, and I shot hoops all almost every day. I think it's therapeutic. Just it's something it's so easy to do. It frees your mind. You're really just worried about putting the ball in the hole. I just love it. There's something about it. And so when I saw the hotel at a basketball hoop, I was like, yeah, baby. Loving Connecticut so far. My boy Nolan was with me. We played one-on-one. I beat him, but I beat him on technicality. I think I traveled. I'll put the clip here so you can see. It was a good shot, but the way I won it, I picked up my dribble and I traveled. So I think I won technically, but if you review the tape, it's a win with an asterisk. We'll have to have a rematch. Feel good about the win, though. A win's a win. Okay? Man, with Hartford, tickets for the show were flying early to the point where I was like, am I going to sell out this show? It's like they all flew, and then the last weeks, let's call it the last 3 weeks, I sold 3 tickets or something. It was like everyone in Connecticut clearly is an amazing planner because y'all planned so far in advance and no one was last minute. It was wild. I thought it was just going to go and there was so the club was, I don't know, half full or whatever, but it was another one of these funny bone clubs, which is built so well where it's low ceilings packed in. Love the look of it. Love the feel of it. Nolan went on stage, and it was a little. You could tell they were a little tight. They weren't really giving it up much. And again, like I said, I'm very much paying attention to how the openers do, so I can gauge how this is going to go. And Nolan was he's very funny, and they weren't giving him what he deserved. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be interesting. And I went up, and it was the same type of vibe where they were a little bit reserved and tight and pulled back, but I got them pretty quickly and ended up having a really good show. But it definitely was work. They definitely made me work. I don't know what it was. It was a Wednesday or a Thursday. Maybe people were tired from working all week, but they definitely made me work. And it was one of those shows where I got off stage and was like, Jesus, man, that was a lot of work. And it went well. But I have certain standards that I want to hit for myself. And I'm sure you guys feel the way at your job. It's like, it doesn't matter how people tell you that you do. You know how it went in yourself, if that makes sense. And in hindsight, I watched some of the show back, and it actually went great. But it felt like work at the time. But I had a really fun time. I would love to go back to Connecticut. Shout out to the merch flew like crazy. I don't know what it was, but people bought so many t-shirts. It reframed the show in my mind. I was like, the show was pretty good, and then the merch flew, and I was like, love Connecticut. This place is great. Before we left to go, someone told me that Connecticut has the best pizza. Didn't know that. And during my connection where I ran to make it, I was in the jet bridge thing I was last, and there was a guy ahead of me. We started talking, and I asked him. He was from Connecticut, and I asked him. I was like, "Yeah, was pizza? Is that a thing? Is that a thing in Connecticut?" And he was like, "Yup," and gave me 2 places to go to. And after the show, I went to one of them. It was right near the club, and I got a giant. I hadn't eaten enough all day, so I got a large pizza all to myself. I spent, dude, I'm not kidding. I think the pizza was $50, and I got Nolan his own pizza, so I had a giant pizza all to myself, but I spent $50 and I didn't give a fuck. I was like, this is apparently the best pizza. I'm experiencing it to its fullest. I think it was pepperoni, sausage, olives, mushrooms, and onions. And the olives, dude, oh my God, man. The olives were those big round olives with no pits. They were so good, dude. The pizza was no joke. I don't know if anyone's listening here from Connecticut, but your pizza is fire, bro. I'll put a picture up of the pizza. It was so good. So the vibes were pretty good. But the vibes were soon to change. I'm going to bring the show down a little bit. Got to get real. Something happened. So my buddy Nolan came with me, and he, I'll just kind of get to the point here. So after the show, we went and got pizza, and in the car, he started by telling me, he said, "Hey, so I don't want to hate to bring the mood down, but," and when he said that, I was like, okay, well, this can't be good. I thought about, like, did I do something weird on stage? Did I say something weird? Did someone say something? Like, I didn't know what, my brain went to something about myself. And he said that his buddy Dex passed away. And Dex, his name is Dex Carvey. He is Dana Carvey's son, who I know a little bit. And he was one of Nolan's best buddies. And he found out about this. They called him, and he found out right before he went on stage. Like, he went and took kind of a walk to get his head clear, and on that walk, they told him. So, when something like that happens, it really it switches the vibe up in a way that it should. We kind of, everything about the show and the travel and everything kind of went away, and it turned into kind of just this bigger existential moment where it's just me and one of my best buddies kind of processing some really horrible information. And it was really tough, man. I think, I didn't know Dex super well. I hung out with him a few times, and, always seemed like he was a great dude, funny guy, like really just a good energy all around. And I'm sure you guys are like this with your friends, but, Nolan and I are so close that any of his friends, I trust that they are great, awesome people. And I know Dex was one of those guys. And so it was really hard, man. And I think I was really impressed and was very surprised to hear that Nolan found out that information and then went and still did a set. And I thought it was so interesting how he reframed it. He basically was saying that, like, there was a part of him that was like, do I even do the show? Do I go home? Like, what do I do right now? And he said something really stuck with me, was basically that Dex, who was also, stand up, he was like, this is what he would want me to be doing. He would want me to cancel anything or adjust my life in any sort of a way to miss out on these opportunities. And he was like, he would want me to be on this trip and have the most fun and soak up every moment possible, really, really preaching gratitude. And just, I think when loss happens, and it's happened to me, I lost a buddy, one of my roommates in college, very suddenly. And I'm sure you guys have, well, hopefully you guys haven't lost anybody, but if you have, I'm sure the main thing that comes up is you really just stop sweating the small stuff. Things you're stressed about just become completely non-existent, and you start to remember that, like, life's short and that stuff can happen. And so, it turned into this kind of this. It started as this really horrific story, but then ended up bringing, I think, me and Nolan a lot closer because of it, and just gave this really overwhelming sense of gratitude and just to really enjoy this life, enjoy this journey. I've had a lot of stresses lately, and it really reminded me that, like, man, that stuff just doesn't matter, dude. You're living this unbelievable life that you dreamed about with your friends. You have an amazing family, an amazing girlfriend. It's just, it really put things into perspective. And so I was really proud of Nolan being able to cope with that information and still be, with me on this journey. So again, hey, if you have people in your life that you love, tell them you love them. Whether it's your parents, your friends, anyone, life's short, man. And have gratitude. I think it's really important to remember that. So the next day, we woke up and drove to Boston. And look, man, Boston, these were I'd say objectively the biggest shows of my career. The way the hierarchy is being a weekend headliner. That is kind of the peak, outside of doing, theaters and things like that. But as a club comic, the peak is doing a weekend. And so this will be my third weekend that I've done at a comedy club. And this is kind of the biggest one, because this is a big deal club in a big market, right? Remember, Omaha, small market, Boston, big market. So it's a big deal. And I had no gauge on how I was going to do ticket-wise. I knew Boston was a big demand city for me. I knew I was going to sell some tickets, but I didn't know how many, especially for a weekend. Because the only 2 weekends I've done were all over the place. First weekend I did was the first episode of this podcast, the one in Royal Oak, Michigan, where I sold 900 tickets, over 900 tickets, which is such a comic to be not say 900. I was actually 910. It matters. And that was an unbelievable weekend and really got to my head thinking that that's what I can do in every city, which is not true. Because the next one I did was in Tampa, specifically Wesley Chapel, which is not Tampa. It was like 30 minutes north. Anyways, I sold 350 tickets that weekend. And so then I left being like, dude, who am I? what am I doing? How am I going to do on weekends? I have no idea. Either I'm going to sell a shitload of tickets or not a ton. So I didn't know. And the numbers for Boston were they were okay. Like the Saturday early show was going well because that'll always be the best show of a weekend. That Saturday 7 p.m. show always is the best. You'll always get the most ticket sales. That's just how it goes. The late shows are always tough to sell. And I was doing 1 Friday and 2 Saturday. So the tickets were really creeping up. And I wasn't really sure how I was going to end up, but every day I was getting the ticket counts. They were going higher and higher and higher. And I was like, okay, I think this is going to be okay. The club seats 290, which is an awesome number for me because that's selling that out is attainable, as opposed to some other clubs that are 400 seats. That's so many tickets for 3 shows. That's so many tickets. But 290 was doable. It's also such a good number, dude. Oh, I love the vibe of that 290 is such a good amount of tickets. Dude, the coolest part of the experience had to have been the location of the club. So they put us up. They put Nolan and I up in the Westin Hotel, which is a very nice hotel. And the club is in the lobby of the hotel. I've never seen anything like that. I've seen places where the hotel is across the street from the club, next to the club. But in the lobby? I could go there, set my camera up, go back upstairs, take a nap, and then walk downstairs and go on stage. It was unbelievable. It just made everything. It was such a breath of fresh air after all the travel stuff, dude. Oh my God. I was so happy. We dropped the rental car off at the airport and just went right to the hotel and just never left. Oh, it was nice. Interesting club setup. I expected the club to be small because it seats 290. And that doesn't sound small, but that's, again, bigger clubs. It feels, it's a big difference is what I'm trying to say. 300 versus 400 is a big difference. And dude, the club was big. It was really spread out. The walkways between all the different rows were long, and the back felt very far back. I was really surprised at the layout of the club. And the ticket sales ended up, cooking by Friday. The Friday show I sold 210 on the Friday show. And the Saturday early show was almost sold out, and the Saturday late show was at 90 or something. So I was first of all, I was so excited going into the night, knowing that I sold over 200 tickets on the Friday, and the Saturday early looks like it's going to sell out. I was super happy. Went to the Friday show, and something that stood out to me right away, which I couldn't believe, is that no one was sitting in the very front row. It was they had this every seat was full except the front 8 seats. It looked so bad, especially because I have a camera on stage with me to get the crowd stuff for the crowd work videos, and there's just an empty row. I was like, dude, what happened? I called it out when I went on stage, and people actually had walked up and sat in the front, this is where I got that clip from the guy with all the dates, where I was when I was this, when I was oh, the 1 date's here, 2 dates is here. That's from when the guy walked up to fill the front row. So these people walked up and helped me out, which was great, but it was very awkward to be why? What the heck happened? Why is no one in front? The show overall was really fun. It was not my favorite show, but it was a really fun show. I almost think the meet and greet was better than the show. The meet and greet was so long, and people were so cool, dude. That may have been one of the longest meet and greets I've done. And they bought so many t-shirts. Dude, the vibe was awesome. It was such a great first show because it was a nice warm-up. I learned the space. I learned the vibe. The meet and greet was great. It just set me up for just a super enjoyable weekend. One of my longest and best friends of my life lives in Boston. He came to both of the shows. I've known him since kindergarten. And he's the one I watched stand up with growing up. And so him being able to see me at this big club that he goes to was really fun and really special. Very, felt very grateful that first night. So Saturday comes around. Oh yeah. This is the main thing I wanted to talk about. So long story short, I ran out of merch. So between Connecticut and the first show in Boston, all of the t-shirts were gone. And now I'm like, okay, shit. I woke up in the morning. The Saturday early show was sold out. Yes. Saturday late show was picking up, and I was like, dude, I have no merch. I sold so many with, 100 less people that were there on Friday. What am I going to do for merch? And I remembered a story I'd heard, and I don't know, I think someone who worked at a club told me this. I think it was Dave Attell who did this, so I don't want to take credit for the idea, but this is the only time I've heard of it, is that when he lands in a city, he goes to like a FedEx, prints out tour posters, and sells those after shows. That way, you don't have to be traveling with merch. You don't have to worry about shipping anything or, doing all the work I do, right, with the embroidery of the t-shirts. He just does the tour poster. So I remembered that, and I was like, okay, maybe I should do that. And so what I did is that Friday night, I literally designed a tour poster in my hotel room, a little bit stoned, just in Canva, just ripping away, making this tour poster with the intention tomorrow to then go get it printed out. And that's what I did. I went to FedEx, and I got a bunch of them printed, and I was really happy with how they turned out. I brought one to show you guys. And the plan was that I was going to sign all of them to kind of up the value and make it more special. So I hope this is in frame, but here's the poster. And it's not just for Boston, it's all of the shows I did the whole year, which, hey, really puts into perspective, huh? It's crazy how many cities I've done. So there's the poster. Hopefully you guys can see it. And print these out. And I was super happy with how they turned out. And so it kind of solved that equation, and I was excited, but it was a gamble of, are people going to like these? The shirts were doing great because it was a reference to a joke. So I was like, the posters, hopefully people like them. Saturday comes along. The first show was a sellout show. And, dude, it was so, being backstage, I don't think I'll ever forget being backstage during that, to be like when the show was filling in and before they started, just knowing that not only are 290 people out there, but this is a sold out show at one of the biggest clubs during one of the biggest weekends of my life. It was really surreal, and it was so surreal and so emotionally like big, for lack of a better term. I almost couldn't think about it. If I thought about what was out there, I would like psych myself out. I basically just didn't think about it, and I just treated it like any other show. I treated it like I was going up in front of 100 people in Omaha. I was not thinking about it because it was so intense. And boy, when you went on stage, man, I felt that energy. That 290 people, bro. When I got that first big laugh, I was like, whoa. Oof. You feel that shit, man. And I tell you what, man, the room was pretty spread out. So if the room was smaller, I mean, that shit would have fucking blown the lights out. It was crazy. The energy was electric, man. Such a great show. Still, funny enough, there was no show I had in Boston that I was like, oh, that was one of my best. I still think my Kansas City show was better than any show I did in Boston. How crazy is that? Every show in Boston was great, but it wasn't like Hall of Fame, oh my God shows. Not sure why, but, there's so many factors that you have no control over, right? But dude, that shit was so electric, that first show. Oh my God. And again, it feels weird to be like, I've had better shows, but that's real. Just because it's sold out doesn't mean it's going to be the best show, if that makes sense. So just keeping it real with you guys. You know how it is. The meet and greet was unbelievable after. That was probably the longest meet and greet I've done. And bro, tour posters flew. I sold like 25 tour posters, which is a lot. Flew. I customized them for people, so I wrote their names on them, next to my signature, and people really seemed to like them. And also I like them too, because if I went to a show, I would much rather buy a poster than a t-shirt. Because a t-shirt, you're like, am I actually going to wear this? Is it actually going to fit me? Do I care? But the poster's like, oh, yeah, I like this guy, and I like a poster. It's like very simple. And even if I didn't hang it up, at least I have it. I can do something with it. Who knows? Cool souvenir. So honestly, with how well the tour posters did, I think I'm just going to keep doing that as merch. I think in the Indianapolis, St. Louis shows, as well as the Florida shows, I'm going to sell these posters because it still has the year of the tour. And then I think for each city after that, subsequently for next year, I think I'm just going to make custom posters for each city and just sell those and sign them. Let me know your thoughts on that, by the way. So anyways, it was the meet and greet was kind of exhausting though for the sellout show because you're almost like putting on another show for people in a way. You do this performance, and then I get right off stage and go right to the table and do the meet and greet for, another 45 minutes. So it's like another show, and it's exhausting in the best way possible, but you are performing in a way because you want to give your fullest energy and attention to every single person you talk to. At least I do, because every person is meaningful to me. Every person that came out is it's so special. So I'm going to give every single person the attention they deserve for coming out and paying to see me. So it expends a lot of energy, and it's worth it. Late show was great. Dude, it got over 200. I think it was at 201. So, dude, the fact that, I sold like 700 tickets overall. And I think the total number of tickets that are available were 870, and I sold 700 of them. Super happy. Super, super, super grateful and happy. Everyone was happy. The club was happy. My agent was happy. The vibes were great. Late show, Saturday, a little tough. Every late show is. It's just different. People are tired. They're drunk. It's just tough to have a great late show. It was a great late show, but the vibe between the early and late, you feel the difference, man. So there's some times where I had to work a little harder. But there's still 200 people in there. So it's going to be fun anyways. And it was so much fun, man. I had a great time at that show. Every show was great. Yeah, what was funny is there was a dude who, in the main crowd work clip I posted yesterday, the guy in that clip, who's the fucking man, he was awesome. I wish I remembered his name. He was so cool. He came back to the late show, and he was on a second date with a girl, and he basically, like, I don't know if he made her, but they both came to the late show, which, hey man, it's going to be basically the same show. The crowd work's going to be a little different, but it's going to be the same show. So it was a little funny because I would kind of look over at them at some points because it feels a little weird to know that they just saw the same show, so they're not going to laugh as much. So he was like laughing a little bit, and she like just kind of wasn't, which I understand because you just saw the same show. So I felt a little weird being like, dude, they came back. Like, why this is weird. Let's sit further back or something. I don't want to see you being like, yep, no, this joke. Yep, that joke again. Yep, same joke. Yep, I remember that. You don't think about that stuff, man. But I can see. I notice way more things that you guys think I notice. And one bummer moment happened during the show is one of my last jokes. I do this kind of big speech thing that kind of leads up to a big laugh. And this speech thing, it's kind of like I talk very fast and do all of this paint out this whole scenario, and I don't want to give it away, but and in it, it's like a rhythm thing where I'm saying a bunch of words back to back, and it's a muscle memory thing. Riding a bike, don't know what that's like, but I assume it's the same thing. And I've never messed it up until this show. Someone's phone went off during the kind of this long speech that I do, and it completely threw me off, and I fucking couldn't figure out how to get back into it. It was right in the middle of it. I laughed it off, and I couldn't get back into it, and the joke just didn't really land, and that's a big moment of the show, so that sucked. Can't believe it took that long for that to happen, but yeah, that was a bummer, but it was a late show. Things are going to happen. I'm here for it. Either way, Boston really was. It was one of the biggest weekends of my career, and it was just. It felt like it. And when you leave that trip, when you go home, it's such a nice feeling. Forget the money. It's just the feeling of, wow, like I did it. That flight home is like so almost magical because it's such a victory. It's like you just won a championship, and you're on the flight home to go to the parade. I feel this overwhelming sense of success and gratitude, like I did it. There was, I think, 4 clubs in that initial call with my agent where I was like, I want to do these clubs. And 2 of them, I've done all 4 now. And I sold out 2 of them. Zany Chicago and Laugh Boston. So the fact that I gave my agent 4 clubs in the initial phone call that I was like, I want to do these, and I sold 2 of them out, I think is sick. I think that's really cool. And look, man, the gratitude thing, that's really what I'm trying to harp on. I think that's the whole point of this whole thing is just I have to make sure to really feel that gratitude, because this is so cool what's happening right now. And I will look back on this and be like, damn, remember that first weekend you did in Boston? Remember how special that was? You know, when I'm at the Wilbur Theater thinking back, like, remember when I did Boston? You know, that first time, all those tickets and all the stuff that happened around it, you know. Look, I still have a long way to go, man. I know I do. It's just kind of the start of my whole journey, which is so crazy. You know, I feel like I just got called up to the major leagues this year, and now this is like I'm starting over at the bottom of the major leagues, and I'm working my way up, and it's fucking fun, man. And the act has gotten so much stronger. You know, when you look at my first show I did in San Diego in January, and look at where my act is now, it's gotten so much stronger. I've gotten so much better. I've grown as a person a lot, and what an amazing year it's been, man. It really has. And I can't thank you guys enough, because I say this almost every time, but I could not do it without you guys, for real. And there's a lot of cities I'm going to come back to next year, by the way. I think my tour is going to kick off pretty heavily starting in March. I think that's going to start going back, and I'm going back to a lot of cities. You know, places like Washington, D.C., places like San Diego, like Denver, places I went to very early in the year, I'll be going back to next year, and kind of just running the whole thing back, man. January, February can be a little slow for me, just kind of going to recoup. And yeah, man, finish off the tour in Florida. And I hope to see some of you guys in Indianapolis and St. Louis this week. I'm very excited for those shows. I have a bunch of family coming out to St. Louis show. Curious how that's going to go. I'll let you guys know next time. And thanks for watching, man. Thanks for watching this. I hope you guys are liking the format. I feel like I talked a little fast on this one, but I feel like that could be kind of good because it's just me. So I kind of want to keep it moving. You guys know what I'm saying. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I really enjoyed giving this recap and been wanting to do this for a long time. Thank you guys again for being a part of this. And so the next one I'll do will be in, a couple weeks, maybe another month, where I'll talk about all the last shows of the tour. And yeah, maybe we'll do like a Q&A or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So appreciate you guys rocking with me, man. Go watch the Would You Rather podcasts also. I don't even know if I call that a podcast. It's more like a video series. They're like 10 to 12 minutes long. They're really fun, man. And I would love for you guys to check it out. And come see me on tour. And look, man, appreciate you guys. I'll see you soon.